I feel like most people don't get licensed and they're like, this is what I'm going to go do. I'm going full time tomorrow. Yeah. And this is the start of my career. Like most people kind of ease their way into it. But it's so funny to hear and talk to people where they're like, oh yeah, I like houses.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know, it's a cool thing to get into because like I like kitchens and design and it's like, that's such a small part of what we do. Like,
oh, for sure.
Guess what? You're going to hate 60% of the houses that you sell, or you're not going to like them, or like you're going to think certain aspects of them aren't nice.
Yep.
But it's not, it's more like sales than it is like design or like home appreciation. And so it's just funny because so many, all the time you hear when you talk to agents.
Because again, and know what I still do as an agent? I will just sit there on one key and I will just look at
houses all day long.
I'll look at the $25 million, anything above $1 million. I'm like, wait, what does this get you in this county? What is this? And I'll literally, and my wife will catch me and be like, why are you staring at this house? I was like, well, one day, obviously I plan on selling one of these. Right. Or multiple of these.
Or maybe buying one.
Yeah. Or buying one. Right. Yeah. But that's just something I still love to do. But it is funny you say it because that's literally why you get in. You're like, I like houses. They're good. But then you're absolutely right. You can't even say 60. You probably say like 80 to 85% are just like houses you want nothing to do with.
Well, and you know, it's
nothing against, you know, just we all have different tastes.
100%. But it's also like, I think what's really cool about it is you start to get an appreciation for maybe not your style. So like you might see something that like you might have more of a traditional style, but you see something that's super modern. And you're like, I wouldn't buy that. Or I wouldn't design that, but it's like really cool. Yeah. Right? It's like, it's very interesting. It's very unique. It has a story. So you have a better appreciation of it, which I think makes you a better agent too. When like you understand and appreciate, like so much of what we do is putting ourselves in our clients' heads, really. It's like trying to understand what they're looking for or what's important to them. And, you know, it's funny because I do the exact same thing. I'll be like, oh, $25 million house in Bedford. Like, let me look at this. Exactly. What's $5 million in Scarsdale get you? You know, it's like
all the time.
And it's cool to see. And then you're looking at it and you're like, oh, that bathroom's horrible. And it's like, it's 5 times the size of my bathroom, but I'm criticizing it.
I'll be that snobby person. I'll be like, this house, $100 million, there's no pool. Like, what the fuck is this about? But at that kind of money, that's like literally pulling out $20 for somebody and dropping a pool in. Yeah. But that's like the way I'm thinking.
That's crazy. So dude, obviously you're going on year 3 or in year 3 now?
I'm in year 3. So I'm coming into year 4.
Year 4. Okay. Because it was 2019 and 2020.
Yeah. So sorry. It was just January 2020. So now we're 3 full years. We're in our 4th.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Which is crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy.
Yeah.
But, so what do you think so far?
It's good. It's one of those businesses. Again, we all bullshit about like part-timers. You really can't be part-time. Unless that is your goal. You have a main job and you want to sell to a family member once a year. Totally cool, right? Do a part-time. But if you come into this...
I have opinions about that.
Well, that too.
We can get into that.
I meant some people just like that. Not saying it's good for us. Us as full-time realtors, we want all the part-timers out. In reality, it's just like, get out of here.
Well, it's. I think in my opinion, it's less about like... I don't care if someone, to me, I'm always very much like expectation has to match reality. Yeah. And it's like, if you're okay with doing a couple of deals a year and that's what you want, and that's totally 100% fine. I mean, I'm not saying there's not a place in the industry for that person, but it concerns me when I think about the client. Yeah. And I think about like, hey, you're hiring someone to work on your biggest investment that you've ever made, right? $500,000, $1 million, whatever it is. And this person is completely out of touch with the reality, right? They're out of touch with the market. If you're someone who's part-time, but you study the information and the data and you're knowledgeable, that's fine. That's totally good.
Yeah, I agree.
It's just when this person, like, and we know because we deal with these people and it's like, they overprice the house and then it sits on the market and then they've got to do price reductions and then they end up selling it for less, or they don't properly stage it, or they take iPhone photos or the bathroom mirror selfies. We've seen those ones, right? And it's like, you're costing your clients money. So as long as you're not doing that, if like you're actually providing good advice and you're actually, you know, guiding your clients in the right way, by all means, you could sell one house a year. It doesn't matter. It doesn't affect us. It's just, I never want to end up in a situation, or I hate when I hear like, people have bad, experiences with realtors, and then it gives us a bad name because they think everybody's the same when they're not.
Yeah.
It's not like every person that you work with is going to give you the same exact experience.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm fine with you doing whatever you want to do. Just don't give us a bad reputation because you're doing unethical things or you're misguiding your clients. That's what drives me crazy.
Because you do it so little.
Right.
But there is, and again, we come into the thing where it's like you still have a bunch of full-time people who will definitely give a bad taste for everybody.
Oh,
but that's
100%.
in any job, though.
100%.
But I agree. When it's like a part-time person, it's more personal.
Well, it's just like, you're absolutely right, because a part-time, it's not really part-time or full-time. It's just like, I guess the big thing is like, just do your research before you hire anybody, whether it's a family member. I just think real estate, it's so common to see people be like, oh, my friend is a realtor. My cousin, my aunt, my mom's, best friend. And it's like, just because you know that person doesn't mean that they're the right person to work with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
You want to make sure you're working with someone who's really going to like take good care of you and like make sure you do the right thing.
Yeah, for sure.
So obviously you got in with another company. What was like did someone tell you that like, hey, you should do this? Or was it like, hey, I just want to do it, and then you kind of just like sought it out? Or
you're talking about the company or like
no, just in general, just getting into real estate.
No one really told me. It was kind of my own idea, if that's what you're asking. And I just went for it. I had goals. I said I need to get this done in 2-3 months, got it. And then I didn't go for the high name brand, like necessarily what I'm on now, because I wanted a more laid back kind of feel. And I knew this guy who owned his own, and through the restaurant, went to him, and he's honestly still like, he's one of the nicest guys. I would give his shirt off his back,
And built a very successful company.
Yeah, and built a very successful company. And he took me right in, and I trained with him. And that's the crazy part about it is I get my license end of January. I literally train with him like all of February, follow him around, I'm in car with him, listen to him answer phones. He's teaching me everything. And then March, everything gets shut down. And I'm literally like, I just started this career and here comes COVID. So no March, no April. May was still nothing. And then June, it started picking up. People didn't really know what to do. There were still realtors obviously doing some business in between when they weren't supposed to. But again, who am I? And then my issue was I was so new that all of a sudden when the market just flew, went on fire, and I would say probably June, July, people were like, this is crazy. I'm getting so much business. I was so new. I was literally just sitting there and my head spinning, just like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, and I'm like, and I don't know how to get leads. Like, how do I do this? So the company I was with, you're on your own. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, he gave me leads, but you're on your own, and all these other realtors that have been in the game even a few years to the veteran ones, they're just absolutely killing it because this is just like on fire for them.
There was a big misconception with COVID that was like, hey, anybody in real estate is just going to do really well.
Yeah.
And it's just not the case. Like if you weren't established, the last 3 years and honestly, like the 12 months leading into COVID even was super competitive. And people think it was just COVID.
I was in a bidding war on my house.
When
that was in 2018.
Yeah,
people
exactly. That's where we started to see it change.
Prices were down significantly.
Correct.
Don't get me that. But it was still bidding wars. And people don't believe that. They're like, oh, you must have got a deal. I was like, yeah, I got a deal technically for what the market's
But not at the time.
Yeah, but exactly.
At the time, you probably thought you were overpaying.
Oh, exactly. At the time, I was like, holy shit, like this is...
That's always how it goes.
Yeah.
Everything always looks better 5 to 10 years looking back.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But it's... For anybody who got in the business who think it was going to be a cakewalk, it wasn't. It was the last 3-4 years, because in the beginning, you're typically working with buyers.
Yeah.
And it's like... You're going out and you're losing bidding war after bidding war after bidding war. So it's like... It's very frustrating. It's very discouraging. Right now is a much better time to get started, even though it's still a very busy market.
Yeah.
And the market may be quote unquote down in terms of number of transactions, which as a realtor, you get paid on transactions. So like a lot of people's businesses are down, not ours, but, but a lot of people's are. And what ends up happening is you get discouraged, but right now it's a great time to start because it's like you can start in a little bit more of a normal, so to speak, market where it's still competitive, but you can build more of like a foundation as opposed to like just being a free for all for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
So it's crazy. But so obviously, you've been on with us for what, a year?
Yeah, we're
What was your, do you know?
No,
your
literally, it's this month, so it's a
we
year.
got to find out the exact day.
I know, we need the exact
we
day.
have a party.
So it's been a year.
So it's been a year.
Yep.
Obviously, you hate it.
Yeah, it's terrible.
But no, thinking about like, you know, looking towards the future and thinking about, obviously we talk about this, you know how I think about my business. I'm thinking about it 10, 15, 20 years from now.
Yeah.
You know, like what are your like where do you want to be in 5 years? Like what's next? Like where do you see either the business going, the industry going, you going? Like what's the future hold for Stephen Wrobel Jr.?
I envision, right, you know, just like you do, the future, but I guess like next 5 years. I mean, right now I'm just planning on getting busier and busier. Like during COVID, I really had 6 months. I still did a handful of deals. It was still good. And I was like, okay, like here's this new guy doing some deals. Yeah. The next year comes around, boom, 2021, I double that. Next year comes around, I I double that number from there. So now I'm like, okay, this is clearly working. Something's working here. And it's tough with real estate because sometimes you're like, do I have a job? You know, like, especially if you're just in like a lull, you're like, what am I doing right now? You definitely question a lot. So I'm just, again, trying to get busier and busier every year and just trying to build it. I've realized it now. That's why I made the switch to the team, is because I was like, I want to treat this like a career. So basically I was sitting at home a lot, there was no real estate events. There was no nothing, right? I did something here and there. So I was like, let me go to a team, and a good team at that, get the business. I really wanted to learn more. So I'm like, if somebody's been in for a long time, I can learn, do all that. And then now it's like, we're doing more real estate events. We go, we just do so much more together. There's an office atmosphere. It's just been, again, more of a career now instead of a hobby, I should say. So that's been the big change for me. And I'm hoping moving forward, it stays that way.